harmony. I'm just going to wait for some people to come into the room. Quote unquote room, right? Let me see if I can't make that a bit presentable for y'all. Maybe welcoming people into the room whenever you're ready. Oh, hold up. Okay. Let's see if anybody's allowed into the room here. Welcome to YouTube and welcome to Codes of Harmony. This is going to be a story time as well as, like, it's interesting when I feel drawn to do a story time because I'm also, as you probably are aware, hopefully, but maybe not, I'm also a channel. So I'll be telling a story, but then I might also channel through other information. Excuse that, just don't focus on that. Yeah, I've got some cards, but I'm not sure if I'll be using them or not. Hi, welcome to Codes of Harmony. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. So I'll just start by saying, oh, the window open. Please excuse, there's been huge rainfall here. Threatening, it was a bit of a threat of a little flood, but that didn't happen, thankfully. Okay, so this is a story time that I just will put a trigger warning out, and the title of the video, as you may or may not have seen, is The First Time I Was Followed by a Stranger. So this is going to be a story time from my childhood, and it goes without saying that I've been moved and inspired by lots of the survivors and victims telling their stories. And yeah, it just feels aligned with what the collective might need to hear at the moment. Whew, hot. But if you do find it triggering, then I totally understand, particularly if you're somebody who has known somebody or you yourself have been through anything like this story. So let me just center myself. Right? Let me just anchor in. I hope wherever you are, you're having a good day, or your day is getting better. Just calling in protection and calling in my ancestors. Actually, let me do this instead. This story occurred when I was about 7 years old, and maybe part of the reason that this story is coming forward, clearing the throat chakra, maybe part of the reason that this story time that may also involve some channeling is coming forward at this time is because there's a lot of chaos going on in the collective, and there's a lot of conversations going on about children and women's safety and the ways of the world, right? So this story occurred when I was about, make sure I'm completely as comfortable as possible, right? Probably happened when I was about 7 years old, and it occurred in a town called Lismore. That's in New South Wales in so-called Australia. And yeah, I just woke up thinking about it today, and it feels like it's something that could be beneficial, so hopefully it is. Put a little unicorn up. See if you can see that. See the little unicorn? There, I'll put it right there. Yeah, so probably about 7.5. My parents split up when I was about 6 years old, and both my parents are Aboriginal, both my parents are Indigenous, and my father had a kind of big epiphany and moved from the city to the country after my parents split up. That I don't need to go into too much because that's a whole nother story. And so me and my brother, who's no longer with us, sadly, and I think that's also the reason this story is coming forward, because it's Aries season, and my dear brother, clearing the throat chakra, and my dear brother is an Aries, a medium, and it's like I still feel his energy and so much interference. So yeah, Aries season, happy Aries season to all the Aries out there. And I have lots of other brothers and blood brothers and sisters beyond my brother who's no longer with us. But me and my brother would travel between staying with my mom and then staying with my dad, and so would live like in the bush and then in the city. Very interesting way to experience childhood. Anyways, we're going to this school, this like alternative school in Lismore, and it's very early 90s, right? And we were lock key kids, what gets referred to as lock key kids, which are children that walk themselves home from school and get home and let themselves in. That's where the name comes from. So much energetic interference. My word, gosh. Is that going to be better? Is what's good for you? Is that good? Is that better? Is that good? Whatever. And so this is the first time I remember being followed by a stranger. And me and my brother, lots of people found us very fascinating because we had the same mother and father, but had different skin colors, you know, because of, you know, epigenetics, is that the word? Scientists say that Aboriginal people, like Indigenous people of so-called Australia, have what's called recessive genes, which means that that the shade of our skin is more affected by having European or Caucasian blood, you know, as opposed to like Africans, for example. And so we used to walk home from school every day, and it was probably like a 20-minute walk for us. And you'd walk through like this big park in the center of this mall that had these like ponds with all these ibis. I remember there were always ibis there, which is interesting. I remember that so well because they're native birds here. But there's also ibises in the hieroglyphs as well, right? And we would walk home every day by ourselves to the house where our stepmom and some of our other siblings were living. And our dad was living there too, but then we also had a property in the bush where he ran his business from. And I think we were also in Lismore because our stepmom was pregnant, and so we'd be close to the hospital. I noticed this car one day when we walked outside of the schoolyard at the end of school, and like I just remember noticing this car, but I didn't say anything about it. My brother was born a year before me, like a little bit over a year before me. So he's my older brother. But was a very sensitive soul, similar to me, but in a different way. So I noticed this car, and then the next day I noticed the car was there again. But I just noticed it and didn't say anything or didn't think anything of it. And then I think it was the next day after that, so the third or the fourth day, or maybe it was later on in the week, but I remember it was the same week. When me and my brother left the school, I hadn't seen that car again. But we walked to the park, clearing the throat chakra, which was like a block away from our school, our primary school. And we walked through that park, the big park in the center of town. And then as we were walking out of the park, I noticed that same car started driving like slowly behind us. And this time the window was down, so I could see that there was a man driving this car. And he was like what seemed to be a white guy, like a Caucasian man. I'm not sure, like he seemed old to me, but I don't know how old he could have been. Because obviously I was just a little girl, just a little kid. And he was just slowly driving behind us. And I noticed it, and then I pointed it out to my brother. And I noticed he started walking faster and encouraged me to walk faster. Keeping in mind I was only like 7.5, so I was pretty tiny. And so I couldn't walk as fast as my brother. And this car kept slowly following us for like maybe another block, a block and a half. And so that meant that we were like a block or two away from our house. And so we came around the bend where there was the public swimming pool that had like the best slippery dippy net. And there's a bit of a hill there. And as we came around there, because I guess like looking back, the guy would have been making it look like he was picking us up like from the swimming pool or something. But he pulled the car up next to us, and then he opened the door, like leaned across and opened the he opened the door and he called out to Binny, my brother. Binny is an Aboriginal name. Before I get any like rude English jokes, because you know English isn't the only language in the world. Anyways. Yeah, so it was confusing because he knew our names, and he called my brother over, and my brother walked a little bit closer towards the car because he was acting like he knew us. And our dad knew lots of people, like knew lots and lots of people. Like we'd go and visit like different hippie communes and different communities, different alternative communities. He just knew lots of people, and so did our stepmom. And so this guy totally made it seem like he knew us. And I remember feeling scared. Like I remember my intuition and my heart started racing. Clearing the throat chakra. And thankfully, my brother's intuition also went off. And I remember I was wearing, it was like the 90s, right? 80s into 90s fashion. So I was wearing these like really thick, like white or cream colored tights with these little Mary Jane shoes. And I remember my brother saying, come on, we have to go home or something. And he told me to run. And he started running. And we both started running. And the car the guy in the car then shut the door and kept following us. And it was really scary and creepy because we didn't know this person at all, but he obviously knew things about us. And he wanted us to get in the car with him. And I'm so thankful that we didn't. I'm so grateful and thankful that my brother was with me. and that we had some street smarts, you know, had some intuition. And my brother got really scared. Like, I was always a bit, in some ways, I was like the braver one out of all my siblings in some ways. And then some younger siblings came along who are very, very tough. But my brother started panicking, and he was running faster than me, and I couldn't catch up to him. And as we made it over the top of the hill next to the swimming pool, I fell over and grazed, like, and completely grazed my knee, like from like halfway up my calf to like midway up my thigh, my tiny little legs. And it must have been on gravel or something, like it was just all that really rough concrete. And I remember looking down, and my brother hadn't seen me fall. And like, I just remember the blood and these little tiny bits of like black gravel like stuck into my tights, and how much it hurt, and how scared I was that the man was still following us, or that he was going to get me, because my brother had seen the house by then and was just running towards the house. I think we only had one car at the time, maybe. And my stepmom was pregnant and looking after another kid as well. So, and like, we'd been latchkey kids pretty much since we started school, even in the city. And again, trigger warning, if I hope this isn't triggering for anyone, I just feel very drawn to share this story, because I'm seeing a lot of videos coming up in my feed about stalking. And then of course there's the Epstein files. That's such an important and horrific thing. And I just think that there's like, you know, some people call Facebook like stalk book or stalker book, and people just like make jokes about stalking and stuff. And yeah, I don't know if I had a dream about it last night, or if I just woke up thinking about it, because Aries season is always hard because I miss my brother. And I didn't look back to see if the car was still there, but I could hear it. I could hear that the car was still there. And I was very you know, it took me some time to process that my brother had accidentally, without knowing it, had left me there. And I was so tiny, and I was a girl as well, right? And girls and women get treated very differently in this world till this day. So thankfully, I got up with the blood all down my legs, and my hands as well. I remember I'd put my hands out to stop myself as well. And so I had cuts and blood and gravel stuck in my palms, and all the skin off the front of my knee had been scraped off. But I made it. I ran and I made it back to the house. Yeah. That was the first time that I remember being followed by a stranger. Yeah. I got other stories too, but I think I'll leave it at that today. And maybe, should I pull one oracle card to close this off? Please give me Queen Divine Guidance. Be most beneficial for everyone involved. Nothing happened, like we never found out who that guy was. But I remember looking over my shoulder a little bit more, walking home from school after that. Okay, so let's get one oracle card to close off. Okay, 2 oracle cards to close off. Let me just ring my bell. Yeah, stalking's not a joke. And it's just a bit confronting to be seeing so many people joking about it and not taking it seriously, and then having these stories of child abuse and sex trafficking and abuse towards innocence coming out. There just seems to be some kind of dissidence between that. People don't seem to be connecting the dots, you know? I have a very strong feeling that if that man had got us that day, I wouldn't be talking to you. And that was just the first time that I remember being followed. Maybe I'll make a few more videos, who knows? You know me, you never really know what I'm going to do. I'm spontaneous like that. Oh! Speaking of spontaneous, life force energy. And these are images connected to Lemuria, or Lemuria, depending on how you say it. And shine your light with mermaid energy. And the portal keeper. Which is interesting because the word initiation has also been coming up a bit. Maybe something to do with education, something to do with inner child healing, or something to do with trying to put a stop to let me leave it at that here. Okay, I hope this has been beneficial and maybe even inspiring to some of you, or maybe just explain some things, who knows. Oh, look at that. The higher heart chakra. Yeah, protection. Okay, so much love from Codes of Harmony.